And Kevin, I know this is an area that you and Softheon have been working in. Wondering if you can share a little bit more about the factors you found can be predictive of when people are at risk of terminating their plans or losing their coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I address that, I want to just agree with Suzanne's sentiment that it's really important for us. There's a cross section here between Medicaid and marketplace. And I think that as each of the constituents in the industry, whether it be the Medicaid organizations to the MCOs to the participating marketplace plans and other technology partners that are out there, it's really important that we make every effort to get in contact with these specific individuals to facilitate that successful transition between Medicaid into a marketplace plan. So this is a problem that certainly has not been solved yet in the industry. It's something that everyone is talking about. And with the public health emergency extending, there's a little bit more of a runway. But this is absolutely something that we need to make sure that between all of these involved parties, that we're able to effectively outreach to these individuals and safely facilitate them into an appropriate plan. So I completely agree. And I know that we've been working with many of our plans to have these conversations and figure out ways that we may be able to support in outreaching to these individuals. And with that, I'll transition maybe into some of the predictive models that we talked about. And based on what Terry was saying, now as we go throughout the rest of the year, retention is incredibly important. And I know that at Softheon, we've done quite a bit of analysis through artificial intelligence and machine learning to determine ways in which we can retain membership before they even get on the radar of being a potential problem. So I have a couple of slides, if you don't mind, that I'm going to pull up here on the screen to help illustrate this point.
Were these produced in the Softheon PowerPoint Propulsion Laboratory?
That's exactly it, Terry. You caught me. And can everyone see the screen? My colleagues here. All right, excellent. So what I'm going to step you through is a model that we put together to look at members that may terminate their coverage and to determine what ways in which you can engage with these individuals to keep them with your plan. So we work with a number of different health plans throughout the country, mainly focused in the ACA marketplace. And this data includes millions of exchange lives. Now, by looking at some of the enrollment data and demographic data that we receive from the exchanges as we're processing these enrollments and combining that with payment history, what types of payments they're using, whether they're on an automatic payment or they're going out and making manual payments each month, to how often they've been in the grace period. These members are going into the grace period, they're exiting in and out. We've analyzed all of that enrollment data and the payment data to ultimately come to, with 80% accuracy, the membership that is going to terminate their coverage. Now, if you're a payer, especially in this competitive landscape that we're dealing with, you really want to figure out how you can have an edge on the competition to make sure that once you get them in the front door, you're not losing them out the back door, because your customer acquisition costs are certainly increasing as a result of the competition. So now it's a matter of holding on to these individuals. Now I'll share with you some more data here that talks about the results. And as we look at a number of different factors, it was really interesting to see that between members that were receiving subsidies versus those that didn't, and they were manually paying every month, that percentage increased significantly for your potential to terminate that coverage. So this is a cohort of the population that you may want to pay a little bit of extra attention to. When you compare auto payments versus manual pay, this is a huge thing. And we're seeing just about 30% adoption currently. And we believe that could be a lot higher as it relates to folks that are signing up for auto pay. Think about it in your own experience. Anytime that you set up an auto payment, it's set it and forget it. You don't have to worry. Every month on a certain day of the month, that payment's going to be pulled from your account and you'll maintain your coverage. Now, folks that are going out manually paying, perhaps they forget. Life gets in the way. There's other things that come up. These members are much more likely to terminate their coverage. So investing in something like auto pay is incredibly important. I found this one interesting. Whether you're an individual with coverage for yourself or you have coverage for the rest of your family, if you're enrolling on your own, there's a much higher chance for you to terminate your coverage than if you're covering your family, perhaps because there's a greater sense of responsibility for the folks in your household. But this was another piece that we had gained from some of this research that we've done. As far as the plan type is concerned, really not too much of a correlation here. The only thing that stands out is that if you're in a silver plan, most likely receiving significant subsidies, your percentage likelihood of terminating is significantly less than some of the other plan compositions. And I'll leave it here, is through this model, and again, investing, in my plea here is to invest in tools like artificial intelligence and machine learning to ultimately scale and be able to, with 84% accuracy, focus on the 20% of your population that will lead to upwards of 70% of your overall terminations. Mm-hmm. So think about that for a moment. If you have a model that says, instead of focusing on the 100% of your population and picking and choosing how you're going to keep these folks engaged and retained, you could focus on 20% to save 70% of your overall book of business. So there's quite a bit of power in the data, as I'm sure you all that are listening and participating here today are figuring out ways to utilize this data to your greatest advantage and make sure that these members are holding on to that very valuable coverage that you're providing.